monthly board meeting of the Shell Rock River Watershed District for October 14th is now called to order. You call roll.
Manager Bakken.
Aye.
Manager Kramer.
Aye.
Manager Pasuski.
Aye.
Manager Lee.
Aye.
Manager Delger.
Aye. Item number 2 on the agenda of public hearing on the Hine restoration, now opening a public hearing for the Hine restoration. All comments by proponents, opponents, or the public shall be made from the podium. Please give your name and address. This is required because of an official record of the public hearing is being made. Please note, comments are limited to 3 minutes. These rules are intended to promote an orderly system of holding a public hearing. Give every person an opportunity to be heard and to ensure that no individual is embarrassed by exercising the individual's right of free speech. If it is necessary to be a proponent or an opponent in order to speak, it is not necessary. If you consider yourselves neither a proponent or an opponent, please speak during the proponent portion and identify yourself as neither a proponent or an opponent. No comment shall be made from any other location, and anyone making out of order comments may be subject to removal from the meeting. There will be no demonstration during or at the conclusion of anyone's presentation. Would anyone from the public like to speak? Would anyone like to speak from the public? That doesn't work either. Third and last, would anyone like to speak? Hearing none, public hearing is now closed. Go on to item 3, public forum. And I don't see anyone here that would want to speak today from the public. Or rule of the agenda. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions?
Mr. Chair, at this time, we do not have any additions, corrections, or deletions to the agenda.
Do I have a motion to approve as is then?
So moved.
By Manager Lee, do I have a second?
Second.
By Manager Pasuski. Any discussion? Hearing none, Lee, please call roll.
Manager Bakken.
Aye.
Manager Kramer.
Aye.
Manager Pasuski.
Aye.
Manager Lee.
Aye.
Manager Delger.
Aye. Consent agenda. The following items will be acted upon without discussion in accordance with the staff recommendation and associated documents unless the manager requests opportunity for discussion. A, minutes of the September 9th, 2025 Shell Rock River Watershed District regular board meeting. B, minutes of the September 24th, 2025 Shell Rock River Watershed District and City of Albert Lea meeting. C, minutes of the September 24th, 2025 Shell Rock River Watershed District audit meeting. And D, September 2025 treasurer's report subject to audit. E, September 2025 project fund treasurer's report subject to audit. F, authorized payment of claims. G, authorized payment of project fund claims. And H, quarterly transfer. Do I have a motion to approve? So moved. By Manager Kramer. Do I have a second? Second. By Manager Bakken. Any discussion? Hearing none, will you please call roll?
Manager Bakken.
Aye.
Manager Kramer.
Aye.
Manager Pasuski.
Aye.
Manager Lee.
Aye.
Manager Delger.
Aye, motion carried. Item number 6, natural resource technician.
And I'm taking that one, and I'm also taking Courtney's staff's out for me.
Okay.
So item 6A is water monitoring update. We're closing up our water monitoring for the year. We just took the buoys off the lake yesterday. So you'll start to see here in the next couple months water monitoring report for the 2025 growing season. With the new software, hopefully that turns out readable for everybody and understandable. So we're looking forward to getting that out for you. Item 6B is an update on the Goose Lake fish barrier. Again, this is a low voltage barrier, which is quite a bit different from our high voltage barriers that we've had in the past. This one is coming again from overseas. It's still in shipment. It's supposed to get here by the end of the month. Then we'll still try to get it installed yet this year. It's going to go in the same housing unit that the old one was in. We already have the backup generator and that stuff poured out there. We have been working with the Department of Natural Resources Fisheries on some of the language for the permits for installing the low voltage barrier. The only other thing we are working on there is the electrical. We already have wires ran from the existing enclosure down to the barrier. It sounds like they want different wire put in there. So we're gonna actually wait and see once they get here, see what we actually have physically to figure out if we need to do that. It is already priced in the bid for them to add their wire. So there wouldn't be an increased cost there. It's just something we're working through once it gets here and once the company gets here. So yeah.
Any questions?
So when you say low voltage, what's the difference there?
So if you remember, one of the largest issues we had with that Goose Lake fish barrier is there wasn't enough flow to push the invasive species or the carp off the barrier, and what was happening is they were actually getting killed within that higher voltage barrier because we didn't have the lack of flow. Low voltage, it's just a really low, it's almost like a force field that they just don't want to cross. If they do cross it, it doesn't kill them. So that's the biggest difference. If you remember, the few times we did run it in the spring, we had numerous phone calls from the golf course and from some of the landowners up there because we had a lot of dead carp that were decaying and didn't really smell very good up in that area. And staff, it took a lot of staff time to keep them cleaned out of there. So,
My second question is, you say, are they coming all the way from Europe then, or what, to install it?
no, there's a company here
Okay,
out of Minneapolis that will be installing it.
and then our maintenance contract will be out of Minneapolis too then?
Correct, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, then we'll go on to item 7, project and program manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, doing this for Courtney. Item A is the resolution 2025-05 for the Hine Restoration Plan approval. You do have the plan in front of you right here. I'd like to turn to, I believe it's page 3, no, page 4. You can see again all the restoration work that we're working on, along with all the scrapes that we're doing, berms that we're putting in there. Again, some of these berms we're making drivable. So with that, if we can have Leah read the resolution and then get a board motion on that, then we can open it up to discussion.
Resolution 2025-05, Hine Restoration Project, approved project plan, project 2024-02. Whereas the Shell Rock River Watershed District Board of Managers pursues the mission of implementing reasonable and necessary improvements to the water-related and other natural resources within its boundaries. Whereas the Shell Rock River Watershed District is charged with implementing the Shell Rock River Watershed District Watershed Management Plan. Whereas the Hine Restoration Project 2024-02 was initiated on October 8th, 2024 by Resolution 2024-16. Whereas the Board of Managers, having reviewed the project plan and has determined that approval of the project plan will further the objectives of the plan. Therefore, the Board of Managers hereby finds that the project has the potential to promote the public interest and welfare, is practicable, and conforms to the watershed management plan as set forth above. Now therefore be it hereby resolved that the Shell Rock River Watershed District, Section 1 approves the Hine Restoration Project Plan as presented by Bar Engineering Company. And Section 2 authorizes district staff to conduct work as needed to present this project to the board for final review and public hearing as required by law, dated today, October 14th, 2025.
Do I have a motion? So moved. Manager Kramer, do I have a second? Second. Manager Suski, any discussion?
It's
Manager Bachman?
good time to bring it up.
Yep.
So I just want to bring up a couple things. One is that I'd like to make sure that we're following our mission statement once in a while here. When I say that there actually is no water on this right now, and I know we're creating water, but there comes a point in time where we're going to have enough in Freeborn County, and I know we talked about it last month as 1% or whatever. But I'd like to know that the economic benefit from some of these purchases, I guess. And then we've talked about hunting. Is there going to be hunting rights for the people on waterfowl or pheasant hunting on it? I don't know if we've developed a plan there yet. For some of our other properties too, but I'd like to develop that plan a little more if we could too. Thank you.
Yep, and Mr. Chair and Manager Bakken, if I can just sort of give you an overview. I agree, there's no standing water out there right now. However, if you look at the wet spring we had, there was plenty of standing water. A matter of fact, the person that we had mow it got stuck a couple times out there. And it is heavily tiled. Again, I think one of the things that we are looking at again is looking at the infrastructure of the county drainage system. If you look at the county drainage system, it's most of it's over 100 years old or at 100 years old. The amount of money that would actually take to build the ditch system back to what would be appropriate for today's weather events is probably in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So I think what staff is working on with these projects similar to this is looking at other ways to try to solve those issues where we can actually drain what I would call the better farmable land and hold more water on the ground and keeping that water out of the system to allow better drainage for the cropland that can flow. We've been meeting with the ditch inspector and with SWCD over the last 2 months, trying to locate areas similar to this or locate areas that are already in long-term easements where we can actually hold more water on the ground and keep that water out of the ditch system again, so the good farmland can drain. It's similar to the projects that we're doing down in the Panicum Prairie, where we're actually, trying to hold more water again on the ground and keep it out of County Ditch 55, of course, which is one of the worst ditch systems as far as flow conditions that we have in the Shell Rock River Watershed District. So as you can see by this property, of course, we had a willing landowner. They actually came to us, said, we'd like to put this in a protected state. And so with that, we looked at the elevations. A lot of this is pretty low ground. You can see there's multiple areas within this that has wetland basins that could be recreated, and you'll see that with our design here. There is some upland that could have potentially stayed out. But again, when you have a landowner that's willing to work with you on a program like this, you try to do the best you can to create the wetlands that you can. So I guess that's just my overall statement. As far as hunting rights, yes, this will be open to public hunting. This piece is actually scheduled to get donated to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. There are other properties that we do have that U.S. Fish and Wildlife do not want, other properties that the DNR does not want. We are looking at producing a policy within the district. That policy is drafted. We plan to bring it to the new strategic planning committee for the first look, and then bring that to the board more than likely in December, and putting that policy in effect come January 1st.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, will you please call roll?
Manager Bakken,
Aye.
Manager Kramer,
Aye.
Manager Pasuski,
Aye.
Manager Lee,
Aye.
Manager Belcher.
All right, resolution 2025-05, the restoration plan has been approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item B, again, is housekeeping. This is how we ever run through our projects as a watershed district. So item B is a resolution 2025-06 line restoration establishment. So we're establishing the project. So with that, Leah, if you could please read the resolution.
Resolution 2025-06 Hine Restoration Project, Project Establishment, Project 2024-02. Whereas the Shell Rock River Watershed District Board of Managers pursues the mission of implementing reasonable and necessary improvements to the water-related and other natural resources within its boundaries. Whereas the Shell Rock River Watershed District is charged with implementing the Shell Rock River Watershed District Watershed Management Plan. Whereas the Hine Restoration Project 2024-02 was initiated on October 8th, 2025 by Resolution 2024-16. Whereas the project plan was forwarded to the Board of Water and Soil Resources and Department of Natural Resources for their review. Bowser comments were received by letter dated July 21st, 2025, and comments were received from DNR on July 28th, 2025. Whereas on October 14th, 2025, by Resolution 2025-05, the Board of Managers approved the specifications for the project. Whereas a public hearing was held on October 14th, 2025 to review the project plan. Whereas the Board of Managers, having reviewed the project plan and has determined that approval of the project plan will further the objectives of the plan. Therefore, the Board of Managers hereby finds that the project has the potential to promote the public interest and welfare, is feasible, and conforms to the watershed management plan as set forth above. Now therefore be hereby resolved that the Shell Rock River Watershed District hereby, Section 1, establishes project number 2024-02 Hine Restoration Project. Section 2 authorizes district staff to complete the project as set forth in the project plan. And Section 3 authorizes the district staff to obtain bids, request for approvals, and enter into any other agreements or contracts necessary to complete the project. Dated today, October 14th, 2025.
Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, before you make a motion, could we just have a clerical fix and maybe just let me ask Carmen, is 2024 correct?
It should be
2024.
on the initiation date.
Project. And we're at the top of the plan.
The number at the top should be 2025. The resolution is 2025. And the project number is the number of the project that we initiated. But there is where I had in the line number 8, it should be 2024. About before it's signed, it will correct.
Or make that. Thank you.
Do I have a motion? So moved. Second, Kramer, second by Manager Pasuski. Do I have any discussion? None, please call roll.
Manager Bakken,
Aye.
Manager Kramer,
Aye.
Manager Pasuski,
Aye.
Manager Lee,
Aye.
Manager Delger.
All right, resolution 2025-06 Hine Restoration Establishment has been approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item C is a motion to execute the option agreement on the owned property. Again, this is a property that is being purchased by the Lasar Sands Outdoor Heritage. I'm going to give you a couple of processes that we could do. We can either table this And the reason being, we do not have the appraisal as of today. We'll probably be seeing that appraisal by the end of the week. However, I know this is kind of time sensitive for Courtney working with the landowner. So one of the other ways that we could proceed is to approve the motion with the language in the motion that we will not exceed the 105% of the purchase price based on the appraisal. As you know, most of the times with the DNR, we can go up to 110%, but we would be willing to push this to not to go above the 105%, depending on what comes in the appraisal. So again, two options. We can table it until the November meeting, or we can move the motion through to accept the option agreement not to exceed the 105% of the appraised value. Again, this is for 8.34 acres. This is a property that is almost completely surrounded by another piece that we purchased. It just finishes out that property and allows us to go to the full extent of the restoration of the full product.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to enter a motion to table it till the November meeting.
David, you do know that this is time sensitive?
I'm great with time sensitive.
It was. I'll get a handle that. We have a motion to table it.
So ask if there's a second.
And we have a second. We have a second. Hearing none, pardon me.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, that one fails, so now we'll go back to the original discussion. As far as 105%, time sensitive to get done.
I'll make a motion to move forward with the stipulation that it can only be at the very max 105% above the appraise, what the appraisal is.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Manager Pasuski. Any discussion?
The discussion is how can you make a motion, a resolution, or whatever you want to call it on the floor? You don't have the appraisal numbers in front of you at all. You don't know what 105% is. What are you paying for the property? You have any idea? In my world, you get the appraisal first and then you decide what you're gonna do.
What's the time sensitive frame on this?
That I don't know. I'd have to talk with Courtney. I just know that the landowner is pretty anxious to get this completed. Do I think a month is going to hurt? I don't believe a month will hurt. But again, that's, you know, landowners can do what landowners want to do. So
Sure. So you don't think, you're not, you think a month would be fine?
I think we could do it a couple ways. Like I said, I think it's potential we could get the appraisal by the end of the week. We were supposed to have it for this board meeting. However, we didn't.
Could we have a special meeting in a week or two?
Absolutely, we could. If we feel that we need to do that, we have.
I would feel better if we did something that way instead of going a month.
Okay.
So what do we need? Do you want to vote for mine now and vote it down, and then we'll set something up for a couple weeks for a special meeting for this property?
We can definitely do that. Yep.
Or could we amend the motion on the floor to set a dollar amount rather than just a percentage, but saying, for example, the value of this land, if what we set is in this meeting is okay, if it goes above this dollar amount, we don't approve it. If it's below a dollar amount, we.
In my world, you want to see the appraisal first. I've got 10 appraisals laying on my desk, and most of them are 10 to 15% too high for what the public is willing to pay for land. The appraisals are set up for the sellers to avoid taxes. So when the appraisal is done, The counties has their averages and the appraisal averages are always 10 to 15% higher. Check the sales for the income tax due on the property. So in my world, I want to see an appraisal before I do it.
So we had an appraisal. And it was $100,000. Who's gonna challenge that being too much?
I am. We're not gonna pay 105% for property anymore. People wanna pay us, if it's 95%, they're willing to sacrifice a little bit. We're not paying 105% besides attorney fees and recording fees and stuff anymore. We're done with that. So, in my world.
Okay. So where are we now then?
Can I withdraw my second?
I can withdraw mine.
Motion to table, you can call it for a vote.
Call
And
it
then
table?
decide if they wanna put a different motion up.
Well, then I'll call for another vote for tabling it till next.
You gotta,
Call roll.
just gotta call roll on the motion.
This one, right?
And the one-
Yeah.
Just cause it over voted down.
Yep, okay. Leah, please call roll.
Manager Bakken?
No,
Manager Kramer?
Nay.
Manager Pasuski?
No,
Manager Lee?
No,
Manager Delger?
Yes. Okay. That failed, so now we go back to another motion. Mr. Lee,
I'll make a motion that we set up a special meeting in 2 weeks or so after the appraisal comes back. And then set what we're going to do then.
okay? Do I have a second?
second,
I mean, Wachusky, any discussion? Hearing none, then it would be tabled until whenever.
Still need motion is for a special meeting in 2 weeks.
Special, yeah. In 2 weeks, okay.
Appraisal, so call it for a vote.
What?
Call. for a vote on
Right,
that.
yeah. I was just trying to get everything out there. Finally, anyway, Leah, please call the roll.
Manager Bakken?
aye.
Manager Kramer?
Aye.
Manager Pasuski?
all right,
Manager Lee?
Aye.
Manager Delger?
Aye, motion carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The last update I have is for just a grant update. So the LCCMR, we did receive that LCCMR for the channel restoration project. I know Courtney has submitted a work plan and looking forward for that one to move forward. The second item is the LaSar Sam's Outdoor Heritage. We did get recommended for roughly $1.72 million. Again, a large chunk of that is for the channel restoration work, but there is also one acquisition in there that we're looking at with the Rogness property. So that is at this time where those funds will be looking at pursuing. Again, this round of funding does not get approved until legislative session in 2026, and then we usually have a grant agreement with the DNR for those funds, the 1.72 million, sometime June, July, August of 2026. So that's the update there.
Any more questions? Then we will go on to the next on the agenda is item 8. Pursuant to Minnesota open meeting law, the meeting will now be closed to discuss Fountain Lake Restoration Project permit appeal. They are closed.
So for those of us joining on Facebook, we are going to close the Facebook Zoom, go into our closed session, and we will reopen the Zoom once we come out of closed session.
Board managers have concluded closed meeting session on Fountain Lake Restoration Project permit appeal and reopen the regular board meeting for the Shell Rock Watershed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So moving down to agenda item 9A is a Fountain Lake Restoration Project update. Again, the project update is we are still working with the AG's office and Minnesota DNR on the permit appeal. We are asking for that permit appeal decision to be finalized before our next board meeting on November 10th. And then get back to the state AG's office by November 14th with a settlement, or to set a date to actually have a hearing for the appeals process. So that's kind of where we're at with that. Again, the areas that we are in talks with the DNR are all within Bancroft Bay. We are looking at the high phosphorus areas for removal. We're looking for a navigation channel to get up into the north part of the bay, and then we're also looking for a navigational channel for the southwest portion for landowners, riparian rights owners to access the lake. So those are the areas that we're still in negotiations with now with the AG's office and the DNR. And again, hopefully we will have a settlement on the limited dredge permit for the Fall Lake Restoration Project prior to our meeting next month, November 10th. So that's the update. Any questions on that? All right, hearing none, moving on to item 9B. This is looking for a motion to approve the 2024 audit as presented. Most of you have seen the audit. If we can get a motion and then run into some discussion.
I'll introduce the motion to approve the audit.
Mr. Bucket, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Manager Lee, any discussion?
The I guess audit committee met, I think Chairman was there, I think Dan DeVore, myself was there, Andy and Andy Burnau. So it was a thorough audit, and he brought up a few questions, and I think we answered most of them. One is that we stay, there's a difference between a federal level, is that correct? Federal audit and a state audit.
Correct. Yep.
And I wanted my advice, or I don't know if it's worth anything, but recommendation is to stay with the federal one, because if we get into Elberly Lake and we want federal money, we have the highest level of audit to show them or to go with. So that's the reasoning behind that.
But it cost us more money.
It does cost us more money.
Yeah, so just to expand a little bit on what Al said, so in January, when we do all of our housekeeping items, that is actually where we'll have a motion to approve our auditor to do the audits. And that's where we'll state if we want the federal audit or the state audit. And yes, we have done the federal audit for probably the last 20 years. So I think Al's recommendation to stay with the federal audit, especially if we're looking at federal dollars. And I think there's a threshold of $750,000 or $1 million. That's when you have to have that federal audit completed. So yes, but that we'll take care of that in January with our housekeeping items. Just to note some of the things that came out of the meeting with the exec committee. Everybody was there except for Mike Hansen. He was not in attendance at the exec meeting where we met with the auditor and went through the 40-some pages of the audit. But just some of the key points that stuck out. He did have a few questions on some balance issues that we had clarified for him that were actually done in 2024, but just it fell through the loop there. One of the other things that we did make some changes with, again, just to make everything more transparent, was when we do wire transfers. The way that wire transfers used to work is Carmen would initiate the wire transfers, and then I would go ahead and approve the transfers. We have changed that up now where Carmen initiates the transfer, and now one of our board members, board managers will actually approve the transfer. So we actually have a little bit more overlap with the board working on that instead of just staff. So that was probably one of the biggest things that we've changed based on recommendations from the audit. Otherwise, the audit, we scored high. I'm doing a good job, thanks to Carmen. But again, when it comes to smaller agencies, you know, they always worry about the little things. And so we always get knocked for that. So otherwise, everything else looked good. And like I said, the committee met, asked questions, were asked questions by the auditor as well. So yeah, looking for a motion to
That's
approve.
good. There I have the motion.
I think I.
You already have it.
I second it.
Yeah, we're second, so we're, any discussion?
Just one more comment. I'd like to thank Carmen too, so she does an excellent job.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And the other staff that helps with the budgets and stuff too, whoever that may be.
Well, I didn't work with her on the audit. I do want to second the appreciation for Carmen and staff on everything. I mean, Carmen, the fact that we can trust your numbers and everything is always clean and organized. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
And trust that the rest of them are giving the right number.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about it.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, will you please call roll?
Manager Bakken?
Aye.
Manager Kramer?
Aye.
Manager Stuckey?
Right.
Manager Lee?
Aye.
Manager Delger?
All right, motion carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item C is a motion to approve Administrator Henschel's appointment to the MPCA Clean Water Council. Again, I probably don't need to bring this in front of the board. However, I want to be transparent with the board. I was asked to sit on the Clean Water Council. Just to give you a little quick overview of what the Clean Water Council does. The Clean Water Council basically divvies up a portion of the statewide sales tax, a little over $100 million to different agencies or different groups for clean water projects. The most of this money, or a large portion of this money, goes to Bowser, which then funds our WBIF grants and so on and so forth. In the past, Minnesota Watersheds has always had a representative. In the past, it's been a board manager of a watershed district throughout the state. It is the recommendation, or was the recommendation of the current board manager that an administrator or a staff person that deals with these issues every day sits on that committee. I believe I was recommended for the committee probably by Brad and Jan Vogt, the director of Minnesota Watersheds, and the Minnesota Watersheds board has actually officially voted for me to sit on the council. So I want to bring it here to our board. There will be some time that is taken in that. There'll probably be some mileage to pay for, but I think it's an important position for someone within a watershed district administrator to sit on to make sure that those funds stay coming to Bowser, which then is relayed back onto us with our WBIF money. So if there's any questions, otherwise looking for a motion to approve myself sitting on the MPCA Clean Water Council.
Make that motion.
Motion by Manager Suzuki, seconded by
I'll second.
Manager Lee. Any discussion?
One question.
Yes.
So does the council look at like the city of Albert's request for a new treatment plant and the work that goes into that? Is it a working council? Is it an advisory council, or how does it work?
It's a little bit of both, a working council and an advisory council. They hear from multiple different agencies on how they're going to spend funds and how much funds, how much funds they want to implement their plans. People like DNR get the money, NPCA, Bowser, but there's other groups out there as well that get money. I can't name them all because I haven't been fully involved in it. What I do know is they're trying to Marcy, who is the board manager. I can't remember what board she sits on right offhand. Anyways, she's already putting in her resignation and wants to get me up to speed by January. So then I would start that process, and I definitely can relay that information onto you once I get more up to speed on what I do.
I might be a little off on numbers. I got a lot of numbers floating around in my head, but I think last year it was in the 300, some close to $400 million that the CWC, the Clean Water Council, had to disperse, and watershed-based implementation funding got 87 million, I believe, of that. So a good, knowledgeable administrator in that role versus somebody who's just kind of there could mean the difference between $60 million in that pool and $120 million in that pool. And that's funding that our district, taps into. So Andy was on the short list of very good, the top administrators in the state who would have the working knowledge of the funding, the projects, technical knowledge, the connections, the personality, everything like that, to be a great fit for that role and to make sure that the boots on the ground organizations like watersheds and SWCDs are getting that bulk of funding versus bureaucrats who you hire one bureaucrat and they need an army of bureaucrats around them to IT and all that to support that role. We're the most boots on the ground getting the effective use of that money. So Andy is a testament to your abilities and efforts and work ethic and reputation in the community that led to that. So, but very critical that we have somebody that can fight for every dollar that gets put to use, boots on the ground projects that make differences.
Absolutely.
Well deserved, even though it's gonna be a little more work for you. Any more discussion?
Oh, yeah. So my last encounter with the MPCA was a educational information meeting at the vocational school here about 2 months ago. And I don't know if anybody noticed in the last few months, there was a commercial out there showing livestock farmers spreading manure. They showed a fish kill on the commercial, and then they had run the numbers for the toll-free numbers to report the livestock industry anytime you see some of this going on. And they've got quite a few comments from that commercial. And sometimes they have money that they don't know what to do with, so they think, well, let's do something anyway. But what I'm getting at is the ag community uses nitrogen stabilizers for the manure. We use higher levels in October than we do in November. We use a regular rate in November, and we use a higher rate in October because the weather is warmer. And but you can't wait till November 15th to apply the manure because sometimes it freezes up on the 31st of October. So, but if you can have an advisory person for the livestock industry, I volunteered. But there was like 40 people from Freeborn County in that meeting. There was commercial applicators for manure, and there was us. I mean, we have our own equipment type deal, and our own manure management plan, our own testing and everything. So, but it's under the same organization that you're going to work with there. So,
Yeah, and I believe it's a 17-member board that makes these recommendations. And here's all of the proposals from different agencies. I will tell you, right now is as a member of Minnesota Watersheds, I'm gonna be pushing um for projects on, boots on the ground, like Brad was saying, for SWCs, watershed districts, Department of Ag. The Department of Ag has a lot of good projects that they're trying to do with the clean water funds. So those are going to be my priorities. And I'm sure Minnesota Watersheds is going to tell me that's what they want. Drainage is another one. They look at drainage as the enemy. I think what they fail to understand is how ag is the biggest business in Minnesota, and the economic importance of ag in Minnesota. And they want to just sort of shoo that away like it's no big deal. So, we definitely need to focus these funds uh, at clean water, but for organizations like watershed districts, stormwater conservation districts, Department of Ag. So that'll be my focal point for Minnesota Watershed sitting on this council.
Okay, any other discussion?
Good, thank you.
Hearing none, Leo, please call roll.
Manager Bakken?
Aye.
Manager Kramer?
Aye.
Manager Stuskey?
Aye.
Manager Lee?
Aye.
Manager Belcher?
Aye, motion carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item D, again, is just going to go over a quick handout. I know we talked a little bit about this yesterday, at last month's meeting. But I did find this PowerPoint that the Freeborn County assessor put together for the county board. So I think it was a good enough to bring to our board just to show what the PILT system for the county looks like. And there's some good information in here. And it's actually specific to one of our projects, which makes it even more in tune to what the watershed district is doing. So just starting on the second page, or first with the definition, you might as well start at the beginning. What is PILT? The state of Minnesota makes PILT or payments in lieu of property taxes, which stands for PILT, to offset the cost of maintaining and the loss of a tax base from natural resource land. So any DNR land that's out there. So the next one right now, Freeborn County in 2025 PILT overview. Roughly 4,837.2 acres are in PILT. That's roughly 1.069% of the total land within Freeborn County is in PILT. And the one thing I do want to note about this 1.069, a lot of that is a state park. So that's why in the next slide down, you'll see Freeborn County is higher than Faribault, Dodge, Mower, Steele, or Waseca. But the state park is a huge piece of that acreage. So in 2025, the PILT payment to the county was $62,204.70. Again, the next slide again shows that total acres per county in PILT. I guess our surrounding counties, Faribault, Dodge, Mower, Steele, and Waseca. And you can see Faribault is the closest at about 4,000 acres. Again, with us at the 4,800 acres. So the next two slides are potential acquisitions. These are actually acquisitions that already occurred and that will be paid by PILT. These are the two parcels from the Sanderson purchase that we did earlier this year. And if we go to the last slide, which is an overview of the taxes pre versus the taxes with PILT, it shows the parcel numbers. It shows the parcel 0030. The tax prior to the PILT was $832. And then parcel 0031 was $274 for a total of $1,106 before PILT. And that's at the non-ag res rate would be at $2,012 12. I'm not quite sure what that means there, so I do gotta call in to figure out what that means. But let's go over what the taxes after PILT or with PILT would be, or are projected to be. From parcel 0030, which before PILT was 832, is projected to be 1,815.75. For parcel 0031, the tax pre-PILT was 274. The project with PILT will be $604.50. So total for those two parcels, pre-PILT was 1,106. Projected with PILT will be 2,420.25. So you can see there's quite an increase with the post or with the PILT than there was prior to the before PILT. And this has been similar with almost every piece that the district purchases. This was similar on the Church Lake piece that we purchased to protect Church Lake. So I believe this will also be similar to the Hind piece. However, the Hind piece is projected to go to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife if the board so approves. And their system runs a little bit different. I do got to call in to hopefully show you what that looks like as well. Because it's different than the DNR's PILT system. So again, any questions? This is just a quick overview of a PowerPoint that the assessor presented to the county board. Again, looking at our two projects. Again, this is the reason they were made aware of our two projects is this board wants to be transparent. So we were transparent to the county board. Told or gave the chairman of the county board and the administrator a letter telling them that we are looking at requiring these two parcels to make them aware of it. And I believe the county board must have asked them, what does the payment in lieu of taxes look like? And that's why this presentation was put together. I thought it was a good presentation to just show pre and post PILT and wanted the board to see that. So
This money goes to the county.
correct. This would go to the county.
Or it goes to the township.
Township or school.
I believe it goes to the county first, and then the county just distributes it to townships. So. Any questions on that? Again, just a quick overview. Just something that we did, we want everybody to see.
Well, I can't resist, I mean, if I may, so you've got 4,837 acres, so I just did a little rough math here, but if you take 5,000 acres and I know there's taxes that are up close to $80, $90, $100 an acre. So you take 5,000 acres times 70, that's 350,000 that the private world would be paying in taxes compared to 62,000 coming in from another government agency. So that's what I've been saying all along here is that it's going to get harder for the ag community to maintain their viability when things like I went to the Elderly Township and they set a preliminary increase of 10%. The city of Elderly, I think, is at
8%.
8%. The county's
15.
County's 15%. And what is our percent increase, Andy? Or were we? I know we talked about going to a higher number of dollar value, but what's our percent?
125,000. So I have to figure out that.
33%, we approve it.
33% there. So
33 to 3rd.
These are all preliminary. They can't go any higher, but they can't go down.
Right.
And I sure hope they do.
yeah. Well, all I'm advocating for is more private ownership and maintaining more private ownership because government agencies don't always provide everything that the community needs. Thank you.
Any other questions? Comments? All right, well, I'll get to the last one, is just a sales tax discussion. As you know, we had the short meeting with the city council. I think we got our ideas out there, on what the sales tax would look like. Again, I think the city is still trying to figure out, one, what they're looking for, what they want to use it for. So we'll continue to talk with them. We do have a meeting set up, or tentatively set up. I just talked to Nick about it. Like tomorrow morning, to meet with the manager over there and the mayor. So we'll probably have a lot more discussion on the sales tax at the November meeting. Right now, I mean, most of you are all at the city meeting. Nothing has been discussed since then, except for one email from Ian that we received last Friday. But again, I still need to understand where he's coming from on that. So I think tomorrow morning's event or meeting will be important, and hopefully we'll have a lot more for discussion come November 10th. With that, Mr. Chair, if there are no comments or questions, I will all I have.
Are there any? No, I'm good, but no, I'm good. I remember Ben, manager items, are there any manager items?
I went to the county board meeting in last one in September, and they set the preliminary budget at 15%, which tax levy, if I remember, I can't find my notes. Be about 30 million, and I can't tell you what the budget would be at. But I know it's a lot higher than it was when I got off 5 years ago. And then on the 16th of September, I went to the best meeting, and gosh, I don't have a whole lot here either. They're talking about putting the filter strips and stuff, reline and stuff around where the battery field would be at. They'd be doing testing, water testing and stuff. They'll have their draft due in about 2 to 3 months, so figure November, December, and then they'll have another meeting down in Glendale. And that's about all I got.
I've got 4 things real quick. First of all, the Bowser nominations for the upcoming annual conference. I'd like to have us submit a nomination for Andy as Watershed Administrator of the Year, and for Courtney for Watershed Employee of the Year. Andy, I've sent you kind of a draft one, dusted off a previous submission I did for Courtney in a prior year, and I haven't updated hers, but yours I updated, but I haven't. There's, like, for example, Clean Water Council, I didn't even add that to it. You know, a few things that you might be able to add as staff to build both those nominations out. I think we have the best staff in the state, and I think I'd like to see you get some recognition for that. So if we can get those Bowser nominations maybe updated a little bit and worthy of submission, I would appreciate that. And I think the rest of our board would agree that our staff would be well deserving of that nomination and award. Anything to add to that? I attended Governance 101 for Minnesota Association of Soil and Water Conservation Districts, or MASWIC, which is the FWCD version of Minnesota watersheds. Part of that with the idea of seeing if watersheds and FWCDs could collaborate on a Governance 101 training again, which they did in a previous year, or Minnesota watersheds should put on their own. But it was a good training, even though it's SWCD focused. We live in a lot of the same worlds and watersheds, so it was still informational. On the Minnesota watershed side, as members of Minnesota watersheds, part of what that gets us is lobbying on legislation that should help watersheds do our jobs. And one of those is the drainage work group, and the drainage work group, which Jan represents us on. Is intended to provide the legislator with a consensus group that. Informs the legislator of how to vote or how to pass legislation that will be beneficial to the state as a whole. So it's supposed to be it's supposed to be a consensus. It's supposed to be everybody agrees that even if we disagree on a few elements, we're going to stand behind each other. And an environmental group went behind the DWG's focus because they weren't getting their way essentially, and put in a petition with Bowser to basically eventually restricting drainage practices, which Minnesota Watersheds is absolutely opposed to. It goes against the spirit of that group. Like Al was saying, with ag is our biggest, both in our county, our biggest economic driver, statewide our economic driver. So it's scary to me that we have this petition out there that could impact the tools that we have in our toolbox as watersheds, and the resources the farmers have to make sure their land is productive and profitable. And where that could lead to, for example, one of the things that the drainage work group has been as a whole fighting against, that a couple of these groups want to pass, is an online registry. So for example, if we have a farmer in our community that wants to do a drainage project with the watershed and maybe SWCD support, that project would go on an online registry. Some dude sitting in his basement all the way across the state with no stake in the project could use that to force an EAW on that project, costing up to maybe $250,000 more, and pricing the farmer and that watershed out of being able to do that project. So I just wanted to update the board that as part of what we invest in with Minnesota Watersheds, we're fighting that. And even we submitted a letter to Bowser saying, how are you going to get the drainage work group acting in good faith? These people basically agreed that they were going to follow the good faith agreements of the drainage work group, and then went behind our back to do this petition. And the last thing we want to see is, so the Minnesota Watersheds is fighting on behalf of the farmers and our local watershed to have those tools in the toolbox. And last thing I have is I think kind of supporting what Al was talking about, is I'd like to see our watershed and SWCD really put together what's our return on investment for all these projects. So when we're doing wetland restorations and stuff like that, how is that impacting the flooding and say insurance premiums for members of our community, insurance payments for crop losses from flooding and stuff like that. There's a return on these dollars that we're spending. It'd be great to see, like, this is the return that we're getting for this money spent on all these projects, that we're not just buying land and doing all these fun little construction projects. They're for a purpose. They're reducing flooding. They're accomplishing a lot of things. It'd be nice to see what that actual ROI is on our dollars. So right now I'm just throwing it out there as an idea, not as a resolution or anything like that. But I guess that's what I have for manager update.
Mr. Crockett, go ahead.
So I get good news. The Mike from the watershed and Heidemann, or air, what are they gonna call it?
Vitamin A.
And yeah, they did a spraying of willows on our 2-stage ditch project down here on Highway 69, and it took 45 minutes. And I looked the other day, and they got about a 95% kill on the willows. So great job. But I think we're gonna have to do some of this every year on different projects. I know they did some other ones north of town and stuff, but looked like the right way to do it to me. So thank you.
Perfect. Anything else? Hearing none, we'll go on to item 11. Upcoming meeting. We have a personnel committee meeting October 29th at 9 a.m. And then we have a SRRWD board meeting on November 10th, which is a Monday at 8:30. And a scheduled strategic planning meeting. We have to schedule that yet, huh?
Yeah, and I think we'll be working with Joe and Al. I believe those are the two that sit on that committee. And Brad does too, okay. And Brad, so yeah, we're probably looking at somewhere end of this month or first part of November. The schedule that strategic planning. And the main focus will be the natural recreational areas held by Watershed Michigan.
Okay, the next one is good, we got to schedule a project tour.
Yeah, this is a project tour. This is where I'd like to get as many of the board managers. We're actually looking at renting a 15-passenger van and actually take you out to a bunch of the more recent projects that we have been working on. So you can actually put your eyes on what we are doing and what we have created. So looking for a time to do that. I was worried about Al and farming, but Al said pretty much any time. So
Semi-retired.
We'll put it in the hands of Leah to try to.
Well, I sent some texts out to try to do it after the November 10th board meeting, since you'll already be here.
Yep, so just get back to Leah those texts if that works for you. Or if you have some days that do work better than others. So.
Okay. Any other meetings that? Hearing none. Do I have a motion to adjourn? So moved by Manager Bakken. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Manager Lee. Yeah, please call roll.
Manager Bakken?
Aye.
Manager Kramer?
Aye.
Manager Besuski?
All right.
Manager Lee?
Aye.
Manager Belcher?
Aye, we are adjourned.